Well, hey there, my name is Bart Blair, and I am the Communications Director for Assist Church Expansion, and I have with me on the line today pastor and church planter Joel Trainer. How you doing today, Joel?
Excellent, Bart. Thanks for having me.
Hey, it's my pleasure. Hey, I just wanted to catch up with you. You are the pastor and leader of one of the newest churches in Charis Fellowship, Three Creeks Church in Gahanna, Ohio. And so I just want to take some time today to let those that are watching this video get a chance to hear a little bit of your story and a little bit about Three Creeks and how you ended up in Gahanna. But why don't you start by just sharing a little bit of how you got connected with the Charis Fellowship and the Fellowship of Grace Brethren Churches?
Sure. Great question. So, not only the newest church, maybe in all of the great Charis Fellowship as of today, but I might be the most recent member because I did not grow up Charis Fellowship. I guess it was called Grace Brethren at that point. Didn't grow up in that family of churches, but I met my wife who did. She was 2 weeks old and put in the nursery at Grace Polaris here in Columbus, and their family's been plugged in forever. And I kind of hopped on board and met a guy by the name of Mark Artrip, who I know his name carries a little bit of weight in the Charis Fellowship. And when he and I became good friends and connected on the idea of church planning, I was in hook, line, and sinker, and have continued to just be so blessed over the last 18 months to be connected to this family of churches.
That's awesome. It's pretty neat the way that God brings people together, and you get to see that working out in your life. You shared a little bit more of the details of your story with how you got connected with Mark, and it's not something we'll probably get into a lot of details in here now, but clearly God was orchestrating those relationships. That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
So you guys you're so new. You're at the time that we're recording this 3 Sundays in. Is that correct?
We're almost, I guess, yeah, we're three. Shows where my mind's at. We're 3 Sundays in, and then, I guess in 2 days will be our 4th Sunday. So we're almost a full month in.
Okay. Why don't you share with us a little bit about your, just sort of your vision for Three Creeks Church?
Yeah. So we picked Gahanna. Gahanna is a suburb of Columbus. We picked Gahanna because at the time when we picked it, there really didn't seem to be a life-giving gospel preaching church that I would want to go to in Gahanna specifically. And there are some great churches in Gahanna, but not one that we felt like was like the one that we were going to plant. And so when we looked at Gahanna specifically, we said, how many people live near there and how many of them go to church? So 180,000 people live within 5 miles of my house, and 120,000 of them don't go to church and don't believe in God. And so you talk about a place that we need 600 more churches, not just one more church. And so we moved to Gahanna. Gahanna's very diverse. And when our hope has been that we would get to know the community and figure out what they need and be a church that if we ceased to exist, that Gahanna would sincerely miss us. And that's a big thing to say, but we mean it. And we know that that's going to take years and years of faithful ministry in a place like that for it to actually be true. But that's the mission that we're on. A lot of people gave us a lot of advice about what our vision should be and what our core values should be. And, we looked at each other and went, how do we sift through all these ideas and all these different great churches that say that different things are important? And we kind of huddled with our team maybe about a year ago after we had gone to a conference in Florida. And we said, what is our vision going to be? And we just looked at the Bible. We said, what does a biblical church look like? And we said, number one, it's a church that loves people no matter where they're at. Number two, it's a church that spends a lot of time together. And so obviously we gather on Sundays, and we put a tremendous emphasis on our community groups and wanting to get people plugged in relationships. Number three, we want to be a church that serves people, that's very outward focused. And the fourth one is that we want to be a church that stands on God's word no matter what. And so we kind of teach through the Bible verse by verse and trust that God has better things to say than I do. So that's kind of our vision. And we want to be a church, like I said before, that if we left Gahanna, that they would go, man, we miss them, whether they go to our church or not.
Now, you obviously you launched with a core team. How many people were part of the core team that you launched with?
So when we came over from Hilliard, which is where I did my residency, I did a residency at Movement Church with Mark Artrip in Hilliard. When we left Movement 6 months ago, we had about probably 50 people. that they had sent with us. And then since then, in our 5 months as a launch team, we probably added 30 or 40 more. And then since we've launched in the last couple of weeks, we've added a few, I guess 30 or 40 more on top of that. So I'd say the launch team when we launched was about 80 or 90 people.
That's absolutely phenomenal. It's really encouraging that many people have sort of grabbed hold of this vision of being a church that really makes a significant impact in Gehenna. That's really cool. Now, since you've launched, you're only a few weeks into this. What have been sort of the biggest surprises for you, or maybe the biggest encouragements that you've experienced since you guys launched?
When I talk about those 80 or 90 people, I really think that I could go through person by person and tell you a significant way in which they've contributed to make this thing go, because it has been, the team that we have is incredible. And Movement Church, the way that they established a DNA of we're going to plant churches, I didn't even have to convince anybody of it. They all said they were coming no matter what. And so when they came, they all sold their houses and moved across town and have been all giving 10, 12, 15 hours a week of their time to volunteer to get this church started. So the most encouraging thing has been seeing faithful people respond and be obedient to God's call to do this and to be entrepreneurs, to be pioneers. And then we've seen it where, we've had, hundreds of visitors. Some of them have been family from out of town and things like that, but literally hundreds of visitors who have come, and a lot of them are sticking, like a ton of them are sticking. And it's because we've worked so hard to create a culture where people can get plugged in right away. And so the momentum is high, and we recognize we're 3 weeks in. So at some point the newness will fade, but the faithfulness of our people is what stands out to me.
That's really encouraging. A lot of people in our fellowship are really just starting to hear about Assist Church Expansion. It's obviously a fairly new incarnation of our church planting mission and ministry within the context of the fellowship. Why don't you share a little bit about how Assist took part in helping you get Three Creeks Church launched?
Sure. So Assist came into the game about probably halfway through our residency, and through my relationship with Mark, I just got attached right away. Their leaders have been a source of wisdom. We certainly don't have it figured out. We've got a lot to learn. And when you look at the track record of the guys who are leading Assist, it's pretty easy to see that I have a lot to learn from those people. So anytime I get a chance to be on the phone or on a Skype call with one of those guys, I'm just eating up whatever they're saying, because there's a track record of doing it well. Assist came along financially too, to help us just get started. One way in which they really just kind of went above and beyond to bless our team. Like 2 weeks ago, I was trying to plan, I've talked about these faithful volunteers. I was trying to plan a party for them, and I felt like I didn't want to blow the bank, because we're still a church plant. I didn't want to be irresponsible. But I wanted to honor these people. They deserve so much more than a party, but I just wanted to throw a party for them. And one of the leaders of Assist caught wind that I was feeling stressed about it financially, and he just said, do what you want and send me the bill. And so you just talk about a church that wants to breathe life into a young church, to be wind in our sails. That's what Assist has been for us. It's just been this, it's weird calling it an organization, because it just feels like a group of my friends who support us, believe in us, and are willing to, they're not just saying it. They're praying for us, they're giving to us, and it has been so awesome to be a part of it. And honestly, I can't wait to continue to be a part of it so that we can get the next ones off the ground. That's really where I'm already at. I'm thinking, what are the newest projects for next year, and how can we help?
Oh, that's really encouraging, Joel. I'm glad to hear that you have been so encouraged and impacted by your opportunity to work with Assist and our leaders. We do have a great group of guys running the show here. As we wrap up our time together, can you share maybe one or two specific things as to how we, the Charis Fellowship, and this larger circle of churches and family that we have together, how can we pray for you guys in Three Creeks Church?
Yeah, man. There's two things that come to mind specifically, Bart. The first one is, if you came in to our church right now, you would think, man, is there anybody over 40 here? And And then I would point to like 2 or 3 people who are, and I would say, yeah, we've got a couple. And man, we've been sincerely praying for really the last year that God would bring some folks who have a little bit more experience in life to help us. We're excited, and we believe the Bible, we believe in Jesus, and so there's a solidness beneath what we're doing, but there's also this gap that we feel like we need some folks who are a little bit more experienced in life, some mature believers to come alongside and disciple us and guide us and offer some wisdom to our team. So we need that. So if you would pray for that, that would be great. The other thing that comes to mind, we're about to launch this new thing called the free gift, and it's it's our first attempt to sincerely meet a ton of needs in our community. I mean, we've been in our community, we've tried a few things, but when you talk about like a really big push to impact a lot of lives, this is the first one we're doing. And so we're launching it out. We're rolling it out next Sunday on March 11th, and we're just praying that it would be well received by our church and that it would impact a ton of people.
Can you just take a minute or so to unpack what that project is going to look like?
Yeah. My generation hates to commit to things, and they don't like it when they tell you that you have to do one thing in a 2-hour block on a Saturday morning. So our whole church is going, man, we want to serve. We want to have this outreach mindset, but people want to do it on their own time, and they want to do it in their own gifting. And so we said, well, how can we do that? How can we figure out how to really meet needs, and how do we leverage everyone's gifting on their own time? So, we got together and we said, well, what if we came up with 100 gifts that people could give? But I'm not talking about physical gifts. I'm talking about service gifts, like, taking pictures for somebody, or changing somebody's oil, or painting a room, or doing some landscaping, or tutoring a kid, or giving some soccer lessons. Just gifts. Who's 18 or 78 could do something on this list. And we said, so we're going to give this menu to everybody essentially and say, what do you want to give? Like, in what way do you want to serve somebody else in this city with no strings attached? Free gift. So we're going to give that to our church. We're going to hope that they respond by giving a lot of gifts. We're going to make a card for every one of them, and it's going to say what the gift is, who the person is that wants to give it, and their phone number. And we have partnered with a food pantry in town. It's a lot. It's actually a lot more than a food pantry. It's the hub of essentially a ministry in town that just serves about 175 families in town who just need a little bit of help. And so when families come throughout the whole month of April, when they come to the food pantry, which happens twice a week, these cards are going to be available. We're going to have a volunteer there saying, hey, we've got a church and we just want to serve. We want to help. And so our hope is that people will take hundreds of these cards. We're calling it the free gift because we want people to ask why we're doing it. And then we can say, we're giving you a free gift because somebody gave us a free gift. Can I take 5 minutes and tell you about it? And our hope is that it would be a tool for our church to be evangelistic and share their faith. And my generation also, if they have friends at work or friends at school or whatever, they think there's this mindset. They think, if I have a non-Christian friend, I need to get them to church so they can hear the preacher talk about Jesus. And we just want to kind of pour water on that. And we want to say, hey, you sharing your faith, that's what I see all through the Bible. And so we want to encourage our people to share their faith and be evangelistic. So we feel like it's an idea that could be huge. And if people would pray for it, that would be great.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really, really creative idea. I don't know who you stole it from, but we'll give you 100% of the credit for it, even if you borrowed it from somebody else. And hopefully somebody else will steal the idea from you, because I think it sounds amazing.
I hope
sounds
so.
Amazing. Hey, just as we close out here, if people want to know more about Three Creeks Church, if they want to connect with you or to connect with your church, what's the best way or the best place for them to do that?
Yeah, man, I would say go to threecreekschurch.com. Somehow that name was still available and we got it. So threecreekschurch.com, and we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and we try to keep all those things pretty up to date. So pray for us and connect with us on there.
Hey, Joel, thanks so much for your time today. God bless, and we'll be praying for you guys.
All right, thanks so much, man.
Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you'd like more information about Assist Church expansion, the projects that we're currently working on, or if you'd like to know how you and your church might be able to partner with us, click onto our website at assistcx.org. You can also find us on Facebook. We'd love to connect with you to discuss how we might be able to serve together in seeing the gospel of Jesus and His church expand through North America.